Okay, so once again, you are most welcome. We are now proceeding with our series of Jjeb. We are now in for item 4, please. Now, this item 4 of ours simply talks about statistics. Yes, and like I told you, please, it is never simple until you have seen it. Like what I'm meaning, of course, someone may just be like, okay, with the statistics, it's just a walkover, but it's after you have seen what is in there that you can now say, yeah, indeed, it was worth it. So, once again, my name is Mtanda Samir. Please, I kindly want to again still apologize, please. Okay, anyway, maybe the apologies are way too much. Let me first leave that alone. Okay, so I want us to deal with item 4. With item 4, but again, another thing which I can tell you is that please, I want to apologize that my voice is not all that good. Yeah, my voice isn't all that good, so you will bear with the situation because we are tempered and we can't just wait. We want to get this done so that we step on to something else. We are in for item 4, and without wasting time, let's proceed. Okay, so once again, we remind you to subscribe to the channel, and please, I've told you and I've kindly apologized that my voice isn't good, isn't all that good, by the way. Okay, so, but anyway, I know we shall be able to get this done. Okay, let's move to the real question. Okay, so let's go. So now they're telling us that I'll be reading through, and please, I've said my voice isn't all that good, but you shall just have to enjoy the session. They're saying maize farmers in a certain village have decided to form a producer cooperative society. If the average produce is less than 50 bags, and they are also calling for government help through their leaders. Leaders have accepted to help them with either fertilizers, seedlings, or ready market. I think ready market is better. Farmers with less than 25 bags are to be given fertilizers. Farmers with more than 25 bags but less than 55 bags are to be given seedlings. And those farmers with more than 55 bags are to be provided with ready market. Okay. A sample of 40 farmers was interviewed after harvesting, and their produce in bags were recorded as follows. So this were the produce they produced in bags. Okay, so we move. Okay, so now here we go. So they're saying that should the farmers form a producer cooperative society or not? Justify your answer. Next, determine the number of farmers that will be provided with fertilizers, seedlings, and ready market. Okay, and I think let's step into that. So they're like, should the farmers form a producer cooperative society or not? By the way, in order for us to see if this is true, somewhere in the question they gave us this. If you can really look into this, somewhere in the question they gave us this. Okay, now realize that in the question they gave us this. I'll underline that maize farmers in, okay, they're saying that they will in a certain village have decided to form a producer cooperative society if the average of the produce is less than 50, meaning, of course, the word average, you all know that the word average simply also means mean. So they're like, if you capture the mean and the mean is less than 50, then they can start a cooperative society. But if it's not more than if it's more than 50, then they will not form a cooperative society. But by looking at these details here, you can also think about something here. Like, you need to construct what we call a frequency distribution table. Yeah. And in here, you must be giving us the starting class and so on. So now, let's begin off. How are we going to get our starting class? And what must you write there as far as a starting class is concerned? By the way, what must you write there? So here, the question is talking about what? Let's see. The question is talking about bags. Like, they were recorded as follows. They produced in bags. So these are bags. So therefore here, shall begin off by saying that, okay, these are simple bags. Okay. Now, what is our starting class? You must pick, first of all, here, to get a starting class, you must pick the smallest value. Let me write like that, smallest value, which is what? Then also biggest value in that. Okay, the biggest value is how much? Okay, let's come and see. So smallest value in these details, if you have to check very well, I think it is 11 here. So smallest value is 11, and the biggest value, if you have to check within there, the biggest value, if you have to check, I think it is 79, just like you have it right here. So this one is 79. Now this small value here gives you where to start from, like the starting point. Then this big value here tells you where to end. Up now we are together there. Now how shall we get a starting class? Like the class we shall start with just right here. How do you get a starting class? What you do, you must choose a class interval. You must choose a class interval, and the recommended class intervals, we can have a class interval of, for example, this, a class interval of 10, then also a class interval of 5. But as a learner, I advise to be using a class interval of 10, unless otherwise, class interval of 10. Now, if this is your class interval of 10, how do you get range? To get range, you need a range here. Range is equal to that class interval minus 1, which will give us what? 9. So, when you have class interval 10, its range is 9. You just reduce it by 1. Okay. So, class interval can either be 5 or can be 10. Can be 5 or 10, please. Okay. If you take 10, then the range is 9. So, with this starting value, remember we have 11. Like that. But in order for you to start very well, this 11, this last value here on 11, you can make it a 0 to become a 10. Simply like that. Then next, what will be the next value here? What you do here, you're going to add there our range. But remember, our range was what? Our range was 9. So a 10 plus 9, that gives us what? A 19. So that will be our first class here as a 10 to simply 19. Right there. I think you are now see that. So if our first class is 10 to 19, remember, our end point is going to be 79. So you keep on adding class interval downwards. Like class interval is 10. So plus 10, we shall get a 20. You see that? Again, plus 20, 10, we shall get a 30. Plus 10, we shall get a 40. Plus 10, we shall get a 50. Plus 10, we shall get a 60. Plus 10, we shall get a 70. And plus 10, we shall get 80. Oh, by the way, 80. Let me just go to that. But the highest value is 70, so I was meant to end on 70. So that is for the lower classes. Let me go to the upper classes also. Okay, 19 plus 10 will be 29. 29 plus 10 will be 39. I'm adding class interval. Here we shall get 49. Here we shall have 59. We shall have 69. We shall have here 79. And now it ends there. Okay. Now we are generating our frequency distribution table. A title is highly called before, but we shall be seeing that in the time to come. So having done that, if you're having the data in these details here, you must go by tallying. You must go by tallying. Other members of this. Okay. You must go by what? Tallying. Let's go and try to tally. We put the tallies slow but sure. Slow but sure. Okay. Now, in our tallies, what are we going to say? Like, say, for example, we have this one 11. You cancel out that 11. Then where does it qualify to be? Now here, of course, here I have a tally. Let me write it there, tally. So this one is 11. It qualifies to be there. Okay. This one is 38. It qualifies to be where? 38 is just right here. This one is 14. It qualifies to be, okay, cancel it out, 14. It qualifies to be there. This one is 60. It qualifies to be, okay, 60, where are you? Right there. I see what I'm doing. Then a 71 qualifies to be where? It qualifies to be right there. Then a 48, it qualifies to be where? Right here. Now just like we are doing it like that up to when we go about cancelling each and every number while putting the tallies forward. And when you try to go about that, this is what you come up with. If you try to go about that, this is what you come up with. In order for us to come up with that, let's see. Our frequency distribution table shall say part A. We are answering part of this question, so shall say that my title will just be as simple as, in fact, my title will be just as simple as that. Okay. Now, we are drawing our cumulative frequency, rather a frequency distribution table. Okay. Alright, good. Let me get this corrected. Okay, I think with that we can now be able to proceed. Okay, so let's proceed. So we are getting our table drawn. First of all, we are getting our frequency distribution table drawn. We do the tallying like we explained earlier on before in an organized way. The other side was just a rough cut of what we really need here. So when drawing a table, it must be closed and you must use a ruler when drawing this. Please, as a student, be warned that you must be using a ruler to draw this straight line. Just like you're seeing, I'm also using my, okay, I'm using my ruler to have that, okay, drawn. So we are trying to get our cumulative, rather a frequency distribution table straight away without wasting time. Now we say that in the very first case we are going to begin off with the, okay, we are going to begin off with the bugs, as what the question is talking about. The question is talking about bugs, yes. So I'll begin with the bugs right away. So here let's continue. You need a title. So those are bugs. We have now the bugs. I told you have that 10 to 19. Now I told you that after getting that first class, we just go ahead by adding. To go down, you add the class interval, but class interval was what? 10. So 10 downwards, you shall get that. So that 10 plus this, you get a 20. A 10 plus this, you get 29. A 10 plus this, you get a 30. A 10 plus this, you get a 39. A 10 plus this, you get a 40. A 10 plus, you get a 49. Here you get a 50 plus 10. Here it is a 59. Same to that. Same to that. And that's our last bit. Now next, we have to bring in the tallies. Have to bring in the tallies, and when you go about the tallying, you can also try to pause the video and try to tally and see if it will come back as this. Look, so the tallies must be as shown there. For that we shall have that, there we shall have that, there we shall have that. In fact, the tally should be rhyming with hours. I've also tried to tally. You also try to tally out, and we see if the tallying will be same like hours. Then after tallying, you must now come forward and put here the frequency. That's our frequency, F. And the frequency is just counting here 1, 2, 3, 4. So frequency will be 4, here will be 5, in fact 6. Here you have a 6, here you have 9, here you have a 7, here you have 6, then here you have 2. Now that's what you're going to have there. So you have a 4, a 6, a 6 again, a 9, a 7, a 6, and a what? A 2. Now we shall also need the total frequency in the green color there. Total frequency is equal to 40, meaning that when you add this plus this plus this plus this plus this plus that, you shall get our 40. Alright, good. Now remember, our aim is to find the average, which is the mean. But what is average or the mean? The mean is simply equal to, you all know that, a summation of f of x over a summation of f. Now what do we need in this? We ask ourselves, do you have f? Yes, we have it right here. Then ask ourselves, do you have this mid value x? No, we don't have mid value x, so we shall need a mid value x in simple terms. Okay, so we don't have a mid value x, so we have it right there. But how do we get the mid value x? To get a mid value x, we just say these values you have there. You say 10 plus that 19, then you divide by 2. The answer we get there is what you're going to put just right in this position here. When you try to do that, you get your answer as a 14.5. Then after that, to get the values up to down this side, you just keep on adding the 10, or in simple terms, which was your class interval. So 14 plus 10, we shall get to 24.5. A 14 plus 10 shall get to 34. That plus 10 shall be 34.5. 34.5 plus 10 will be 44.5. Like that, downwards. That's what you're going to do right here. Why are we doing that? We are taking that from the formula of mean, which has the x in it. So plus 10 we shall have 24.5, plus 10 we shall have 34.5, plus 10 we shall have 44.5, plus 10 we shall have 54.5, plus 10 we shall have that, and then finally there. Now when getting the x, please be warned, we don't get a total always. We only get a total for f like that. So now there's something again which I want to bring here. Like remember, our mean was just equal to summation of f of x over summation of f. Now we have f, yes, it is just right here. We have x, yes, it is right there. What about a combination of just f of x? Do we have it? No. So I think let's do that in the next step. So we shall also need the f of x right there. Then how do we get f of x? By the way, how do we get f of x? We simply multiply this by this. We multiply. So a 4 times 14.5, you will get, okay, so a 4 times 14.5, you get a 58. Then a 6 times this, okay, a 6 times 24.5, you shall get that, f147. A 6 times 34.5, you shall get 207. 9 times 44.5, you shall get a 400.5. A 7 times 54.5, you shall get a 38, a 381.5. A 6 times that, you shall get the value right there. A 2 times this shall get that answer there. Okay, now still again remember, in our formula of mean is equal to what? A simple reminder, summation of f of x over summation of what? F. I see this word summation? Yes. It means you're going to add. And the summations are the ones you're having in the green color. These are the summations. So you need the summation here for this up here. So this is summation of f is equal to 40. So this is summation of f of x is, okay, let's see that sum. In the green color it is 17, 30. That's what we have already. That's what we have already. Okay, like that. So that's the information we need just right here. But not forgetting that in our question, somewhere they asked this question. Let's go here. Somewhere they asked this question here. Okay, need to above this. Okay. So somewhere they ask this question. Look, they're saying, determine the number of farmers. Now, whenever the question says determine the number, just number, that will be number. If they specify this word, number, then always as a learner think about an ogive, or as a learner think about a cumulative frequency curve. That's what you must think about as a farmer, as a student, sorry. So if they say number of farmers, then you number, then that is an ogive. Yes, because an ogive talks about what you call an estimation. An estimation. We want to know the number. How many would they be? That's an ogive. Like say for example, this is your ogive like this. So you can estimate maybe at 25 how many would they be here. At 50 how many would they be? That's an estimation. So there you think about an ogive. Now I think that this needs an ogive, but what do we need by from an ogive? We need the class boundaries, you all know that, and the cumulative frequency. So you have to add these ones here also onto your frequency distribution table straight away. And let's go and look into that. So next we shall need the cumulative frequency. So how do we get cumulative frequency? It is very simple. We start with this very frequency, which is a 4, start with it there. Then, okay, a 6 plus 4 will give you a value there, which is 10. You have a 4 there, there you have a 10. Then a 10 plus 6 will give you a value here, which is 16. A 16 plus 9 will give you a value here, which is 25. A 25 plus 7 will give you a value here, which is 32. And 32 plus 6 will give you a value here, which is 38. And 38 plus 2 will give you a value which is 40. Okay, now the value, the last digit in the cumulative frequency column must be the same as the total frequency, just right here. They must all rhyme to 40, 40. Okay, having done that, remember that from our graph of the ogive, we shall also need the class boundary. Now the question asks, the question comes, how are we going to get our class boundary? Now class boundary is what we do simply. We use these very classes here, like we have them right here. So we have a 10 to a 19. Now here what do we do? Here we subtract 0.5. Then here we add a 0.5. Now what are you going to get? Here you get a 9.5 to a 19.5. So that's our starting class, and that will be a 9.5 to 19.5. Next, to go down, just add the class interval. Even here to go down, just add the class interval in each and every case, which was 10. So plus 10, you really see that we have that. A 10 plus 9.5 plus 10, we shall have that. A plus 10, we shall have that. A plus 10, we shall have that. Up to the end, in fact. You just keep on adding the class interval. Just keep on adding the class interval, and that's all about that. So now we have our complete cumulative, rather, a frequency distribution table. Now, look. Where do we use the class interval? We use class interval to find this area here. We use class interval for this area, simplify work. We also use class interval for this area, simplify work. We also use class interval for this area to simplify work. Take note of that. Okay, good. Now having done that, remember in the question they asked us something. They were like, okay, here they asked that. They said that what we have here. Like, should farmers form a producer cooperative society or not? But we did the question that in order for them to form a producer cooperative society, the average produce must be less than 50. That's when they can form that. Okay, so now let's go and look into that very, very fast. Let's go on. So now we have, oh, anyway, here comes our title, by the way, I had forgotten about it. So a frequency distribution table, that's the language I've used. But any other way you state it, there is no, okay, problem. So let's move. Now the next part we shall say that, okay, we want to answer part A. Then we are telling you that you decided to form a producer cooperative society if the average produce is less than 50 bags. If the average produce is less than 50 bags. Now we need to calculate the average, but average means what? The average mean is mean. So we shall now report and say that from the formula of mean, which we know that average is equal to summation of f of x over summation of f. Now let's substitute. Do you have some of these values here? Do you have some of these values here? Let's go and see. Yes, you already see that. I'll do the rough cut from here. That if average, which is the mean, is equal to summation of f of x over summation of f. Now over shall say mean equals to, okay, a 1730, which is summation of f of x, just like from here, and average there, over summation of f, which is a 40, divided by 40, then we get our answer. If our answer is less than 50, then they can form that comparison. If it is more than 50, then of course they just have to quit. Okay, so let's look into this. So here we really see we have that. So now our average will be equal to that. You divide using a calculator here. Average simply means the same thing like mean. When you divide these two here, this is the answer you have in the long run. In fact, that's one way we are trying to conclude. We are trying to conclude very fast. Okay, so now let's conclude. So the average will be 43.25 bags. Now we say that they will only form a cooperative society if the average is less than 50. Now is the average less than 50? Yeah, you can see that that 40 is less than what? 50. So now it says farmers should form a producer cooperative society since the average is less than 50 bags. Yeah, indeed they'll have to form that cooperative society because they really need it. And that marks the end of, okay, party A of that question, which was asking that will they form a producer cooperative society? Yes, they need to form one because their producers are still low, so they need to be in large numbers such that they can maybe, okay, simplify things in simple terms. Okay, now let's go to the next part. Let's go to the next part, which is part B, saying determine the number of farmers that will be provided with fertilizer. Now here, if they're asking for the number here, and they're asking very many questions here, of course you just know that here you have to use a histogram first of all. No, not a histogram, but an ogive, which is like that. So you're going to use an ogive on this part here. So let's go and look into that. And what we're going to do here is let's go and draw our ogive. Alright, good. So here we shall need our ogive. Let's go there and see how the ogive is simply drawn in simple terms. Let's go there. So let's try to go there. We see how an ogive is simply drawn in simple terms. So we're going to see how our ogive is going to be drawn. So with this, let's start off. Okay, now here what you're going to do straight away is we have our graph already there. We're going to try to name some of the things here. We now get started. Our title is there. Here we have number of farmers. Here we have, it is meant to be number of bags, but shall just call it bags. Then here I'm calling it just an ogive as a title. Or anyway, any title the way stated by your teacher, you can take it as that. I've opted to use that, just an ogive as our title. Okay, then let's start off with demarcating our graph. Please look how clear my graph is. You must also use a ruler when demarcating. Demarcations are those lines which I'm drawing slowly. I'm trying to draw using my ruler. Please, using my ruler and on a squared paper. And after that, I'm also going to put the values. Like here, originally for me I don't write this, but here this is what you have as cumulative frequency. And here is what you shall have as class boundary. for those who want to really look into that. So that's what we have right there. So try to put the class boundaries right here. We put the class boundaries right here. Like remember, our class boundaries had was 9.5 to 19.5. Of course, we're adding a 10. So again, it came to 19.5 to 29.5. So again, from 29.5 to 39.5. Again, from there, 49.5 to 59.5. Now, when you're picking, okay, I'll continue. Okay, 59.5 to, okay, 0.5 to 69.5. Okay, now 69.5 to 79.5, like that. So here what we're going to do is, when in order to come up with the class boundaries, we always pick this area here like this. We always pick this area here like this, but this 9 always begins at a 0, like you're having it right there. Okay, allow me, this I'm already ink. So this one here, the beginning value, this must come there. Then this next one here goes on to the next. I advise you be skipping 2 centimeters for every demarcation. Then the 29.5 comes here, the 39.5 comes there, and the 59.5, sorry, it was not be 49 actually, it comes there. Then 59.5 comes there, and then the 69.5 somewhere comes to this, 79.5 comes to that. You can even extend by, okay, so this is not real there, this is not there actually, it isn't there. Okay, now having done that, that's how we go about that. Then also one would ask you, why did we choose to use that? Like say in our cumulative frequency column, we had a 4. I want to see how we budgeted up with the scale. We had a 10, we had a 16 in our cumulative frequency. Okay, column in the cumulative frequencies, we have the 32. Okay, we had the 38. Then we also had the 40. Now the biggest value you see that is 40 here. So which scale can help you better to get that 40? I've used the scale of 4, but here this means that from 0, this is a 2, a 4. So more like it's a scale of 2, but here I'm having a 4. If you can really see that this midway here, it is a 2. Okay, so that's the scale I'm going to kindly use up to when I fulfill that 40. Now, having done that, what are we going to do here? Okay, so I think let's see, proceed with our plotting. So now in our plotting, what are we going to do? On our ogive, we are going to refer back to our details we had. Like here, if you can really check, originally here, if you can really check, we had this already. Let me put it back. Let me put it back. Had that already. So now, those details there. Okay, these are details you have. But remember, our ogive, we're going to plot cumulative frequency against class boundary. Though our naming doesn't, okay, give us that straight away. So what you're going to do is that now this 19.5, because remember I told you we take this to plot for plotting. This 19.5 you plot it at 0. Then again this 4 goes with the 19.5. 9.5 you plot it at 0. The 4 goes to 19.5. So let's go and see that first of all. So now we have at 9.5 shall plot a 0. Then 19.5 shall plot a 4, like you're seeing right there. Okay, now let's go back. Okay, are you seeing that now? Let's go back. So at 29.5 we now start with this. We plot at 10. Then at 39.5 we plot at 16. Let's first of all go and show that. We have it right there. At 20.5 we have it at 10, and then at 39.5 we have it at 16, if you can really look into that. So again we go back here. If you look at this again, we're going to proceed slow but sure. Okay, a 49.5 we shall put it at 25, and a 59.5 we shall put it at 32. Okay, let's now proceed. Okay, so refer back there. So we have it at that level at 25. This one have it as at 32, like that. Then lastly, let's go back there still again one more time. So we have this. We simply come and say a 69.5 we are going to plot it at 38, and then a 79.5 we're going to plot it at 40. Let's go do that very fast. So let's go there, and we're going to have that. Okay, at 38, then at 40, at that level. Okay, now we are done with the plotting, and after plotting you are meant to come and join these points here using a smooth curve. You come and join these points here using a smooth curve, and with that shall be able to answer the questions that follow in simple terms. Okay, use a freehand just like I'm using right here. Check. So you simply use a freehand to have those lines joined. I'm also using a freehand, slow but sure and a bit neat. I'm using a freehand to have the points joined. Since it's an ogive, so I use a free hand straight away. Okay, now please, having reached here, maybe let me comment on the axis. Please, here, what the question is talking about is what you put here on the horizontal. Where the class boundary is where you put this. Like what I'm meaning is this. What you put there always is this. Remember, these were bugs. Which bugs from these values here give us the class boundary? So, instead of writing class boundary, you can just write the naming which you have right here. Which naming was the major topic of the question? If you can really recall. Alright, that. So let's go back and have this finished. So you are finished. Let's go and see the questions which they are trying to bring forward. Like for example, they are saying here, like here we have this. They are saying determine, done. Determine the farmers that will be provided with fertilizers. But anyway, which farmers are those that should be provided with fertilizers? Let's go there in the question. Which farmers are those that should be provided with the fertilizers? Let's go there. I think I have to resolve this first of all. Okay, so they're saying that. So from the question you can now proceed. They say that farmers with less than, farmers with less than 25 bags are to be given fertilizers. Yeah, less than 25 bags. So let's go and locate that on the cumulative, on the ogive. Like our ogive is like this. But remember, according to our axis, here we had the word what? Bags. Then inside is where you have number of people. Cumulative frequency is the number of people or number of farmers. So now we shall come and locate 25 just right here. 25. Then dotted line up to where it joins this curve. Then we shall have to come and get the number of people here, number of farmers who will get that. So they're like farmers with less than 25 bags are to be given fertilizers. So we can now go and use our graph to have this answered, just like we have it right here. That okay, determine the number of farmers that will be provided with the fertilizers. So those who got less than 25 will qualify for fertilizers. I think without wasting time, let's go there and see that. So look at your graph right there. You realize that since here, where is our 25? If you look at this, okay, remember every line here has 1 unit, like a meaning you have 10. Each is 1 unit. So it means that you have 19. This one here is a 20, a 21, 22, 23, 24. Is it okay? Now 25 right there. But remember there is a 19.5, so we move this one halfway. If you are seeing this here, it's a bit halfway, not full. Halfway like this. That's 25. We do that arrow, we get the number here like that. Then we link up or connect it up. So there we're going to have the number right there, which we are going to read next there, and you have a look at it. So let's read the number of people at that point. Those who took less than 25, we are going to have, okay, there are 7 farmers. So when you try to count here very well, this is a 4, but this is a 4, and here midway 8 and 4, here is a 6. Okay, so that is a 6. Let me see, this is a 2, this is a 6. So 1 point ahead, that is a 7. So we can go to 8 if you can really see that. So okay, now here these are 70 farmers. There are 70 farmers that had below 25. So because below 25 is from, in fact, from here up to here, it is below 25. You can really see that. So there were how many? There were 70 farmers. You can now come and conclusively say that in fact, number 1, we are answering that. You say that from the cumulative frequency curve, 70 farmers were to be given fertilizers. Yeah, those who got below 25 were to be given fertilizers. Then in the question, if you refer back, those who were meant to be given seedlings were those who got above, were the ones who got above 25. By the way, those who got above 25, maybe I can just take you back there. Okay, so in the question they said that after that, so they're saying that farmers with more than 25 bags but less than 55. I think that more than 25 bags but less than 55. More than 25 bags but less than 55. Let's go and look into that. But less than 55, let's go and look into that. They were to be given what? They were to be given seedlings. Let's go and look into that. Then those farmers with more than 55 are to be provided with the ready market. So above 25 but below 55, let's go and look into that quickly. Let's go there. So realize that here, according to our graph, if this is 7 like this, but I've said below what? I've said below 55, but do we even have 55 here? We don't have 55 really. We don't really have 55 actually. We don't have 55 right here. We don't have 55 right here. Okay, so now here they said, shall now move next and say, in fact, let me just explain this again because some people won't get us in the right track. So here they're like, okay, farmers with more than 25 bags but less than 55 bags. So you'll come, remember you have located 25, yes, so you must come and locate 55 there on the cumulative frequency curve. Let's go there and show that straight away. We can look at that on the cumulative frequency curve. Here we are. So now it is 55 straight away. Now we shall start from 49. Remember each is 1 unit, so we have, that is 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. Now 0.5 will be midway here, just in the middle there, if you're really keen about that. And that we shall draw there our line upwards. Okay, I will explain that. So here we shall draw there our line in simple terms. Okay, like that, upwards, up to it meets the curve. Please, here is what you're having as our 55, because at this point is where we had our 25. So more than 25 but less than 55. There we are. So as you can see, they'll get seedlings. So we locate the number there up the side, and there the number finally comes to what? Which number we're having here? Just like they read it here. I think the number will be what? I'm seeing as if to be 29 if I'm not mistaken, if you are really keen about that. Okay, so now that will be 29 farmers. There we are. Now since the 25 farmers who had what? Who had below 55 bags but more than 25. Yes, of course, more than 25 but below 55. There were 29 farmers, and that's what we have here. So part below my number 2. Now, but look, we want to know the number of people who got, and those ones who are, okay, those ones who are above 25 and below 55. How shall we get it? Remember, we have this one as 29, but our end point here was a what? Was a 7. So to get the difference from here up to here, you just have to subtract a 29 minus 7, then you shall get 22 people in that range. So 20, because more than 25 but less than 55. Okay, when you subtract, you get 22 people, and then 22 farmers were to be given seedlings. Yeah, they qualify for that. Now the ones who are above 50 were to qualify for, the ones who are above 50 were to qualify for, okay, already market. Now look, since you have here 59 already, but the end result in the whole question is 40, total number of farmers is 40 from the total sum of the cumulative frequency. So you'll come and say that 40 there minus the value we have here, which is 29, then you get the ones who went in for the free market, which will be 40 minus 29, which will be 11. So shall say 11 farmers are provided with the ready market, and that marks the end of our item 4 of Jinja Joint mock examinations. I would beg you end there. See you next time.